Start with a Flea Flicker to open up the night. And he connects with Galladay.
Sup, everyone? It's Timmy B and Joey D, and welcome back to our divisional round recap of the 2020-2021 NFL playoffs. Joe, we only have 4 games to talk about, and now this upcoming week, we only have 2 more games to talk about for our picks. But how are you doing today?
We're doing great, man. It's been a fun week so far. It was a good weekend of football. Pretty much good games all around. Sorry for your loss, Timmy B. But it's been fun. It's crazy. How much shorter these episodes are getting, and how much fewer games there are for us to talk about. It's just winding down. It just went by so fast. So, thankful that we've been able to do this. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and you said it too, man. Make sure that seat on the couch is nice and warm for us Ravens fans to watch some football with you and the rest of the eliminated teams this weekend. But hopping into our first game, we have the Green Bay Packers beating the Rams 32-18. We all picked the Packers. All of our guests picked the Packers, so we're all on the winning streak. Unfortunately, Colts' bold prediction of Aaron Donald getting 3 sacks did not happen. Wasn't even close. Didn't get even 1 sack. But Aaron Rodgers did just enough. It wasn't a typical Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, go off each other. It was a very just let's win, let's move on. But the Rams were in it towards the end. I mean, they were making it a close game. A couple of mistakes here and there. The Packers pulled away late. But Joe, what were your thoughts from the Packers beating the Rams?
Yeah, I mean, it was a complete game by the Packers. Yeah. It wasn't Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams going off. It wasn't Aaron Jones having a huge game or the defense coming up big. It was all 3 phases coming together, playing well, playing complementary football. The Rams have been sneaky good this year and have, surprised a lot of us. So, it wasn't no slouch to, just kind of look past and, they handled them. Like you said, it was a little bit close, at times, but the Packers just kind of had this game and controlled the route. Davante Adams and Jalen Ramsey kind of got into it before the game. And Davante Adams had a pretty good game. I mean, he scored a touchdown. He didn't blow anyone away with his numbers, but he was getting open, making plays on, first down, third down, zone, and everybody kind of playing well together. It was to see Rodgers go bizarre after he dropped that one long touchdown, and then drop it in there for another one, and he actually catches this one for the long touchdown. So that's what you love to see. You got to see that faith and that trust from your quarterback and your receiver. You have a bad play, come right back to him, and trust him to make the play this time. And he did. So it was a fun game to watch, and just wasn't really any surprises outside of the fact that Aaron Donald just did not show up, like you already said. So that was kind of disappointing. He was kind of the X factor. So I don't think he was healthy.
No, he definitely wasn't.
It's tough. I'm sure that was a lot of what he was so emotional about. Just not being 100% and able to be there to make a difference in this game. It was tough to see. As just a fan of football and a fan of Aaron Donald.
Yeah, absolutely. And they even said it for a couple of injury updates. It was his ribs and, kind of like his hip pointer. And he's a large dude. I mean, that's going to hurt to breathe every single breath. So, he was in pain probably the whole game. And it is a shame that he didn't get that big sack or two to really, give the Rams some momentum. But offensively, the Rams did look pretty good. They were running the ball pretty well. They got creative with some wildcat plays as well as their 2-point conversion, a little hook and ladder, which I thought was a great play design.
Best play call out there. I love the hook and ladder. Hook and
absolutely.
Ladder
Especially when it works. So I'm surprised they didn't do it, maybe in a more important regular season game to score a touchdown. I don't know why they saved it for the playoffs, but, Joe, I mean, if the Eagles did Philly in the regular season, the Patriots would have been ready for it in the Super Bowl. That's for
exactly
sure.
Right.
So I see both sides to that. And it's going to be interesting, too, to see what the Rams do in the offseason, because after they got eliminated, a shocker, because on our Saturday video, we said Brian Daboll is going to be the coach of the Chargers. Then the Rams get eliminated, and then they hire the Rams defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley. And I believe he's in talks to bring over, the two young offensive coaches from the Rams who have really helped in the player development. So the Rams, need some holes to fill, both with defensive coordinator and some offensive coaches. I believe one was the quarterbacks coach, maybe the quarterbacks and running backs coach, but McVay was saying like these two were like the main two guys to help develop like Goff and Cam Akers and the running game. So could be a fun offseason to see who the Rams bring in, but I mean, it's hard to say Sean McVay's not going to get somebody, especially with his system and his philosophy. So definitely excited. And
right.
Joe, I mean, any thoughts on that Chargers coaching? Because I mean, like I said, Saturday we said Dable Schefter said that he was the favorite and likely the coach, and then all of a sudden, boom, Rams defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's an interesting move by the Chargers. I'm just not sure if Dable kind of withdrew himself from there or what. But he's come out, and I think there's been a report saying that he's just going to stay with the Bills this year. So I'm not sure if that was his the only landing spot that he felt like was worth leaving, and he didn't get it, so he's staying, or if he turned it down or what. But it's very interesting, but a lot of really good talks, really good things that you hear about Brandon Staley. And when the Rams let Wade Phillips go and promoted Brandon Staley, a lot of people were very shocked and not really sure how it was going to go. But the Rams had one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. It really just exceeded expectations. So I think they definitely have an opportunity to when Derwin James is healthy. That Chargers defense, they have a lot of pieces that they can be really good. So, I think that for that aspect, it's very encouraging. And then, you're bringing in, like you said, some of the guys who've helped develop Jared Goff and Cam Akers to hopefully help out Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, some of the other guys. So I like the move by the Chargers. You don't see a ton of defensive coaches or defensive head coaches. But we've already seen both Brandon Staley and Robert Saleh get signed as head coaches. Did you see that other report that came out that apparently Sean McVay and Jared Goff have, like some animosity or tension between them? And I think the report said, I didn't say this is in quotes. It was like they need marriage counseling, essentially.
I didn't see exactly that. I just saw the headline that basically at his end of the season press conference, McVay was like, we're evaluating all positions, like quarterback included. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was more or less what the article is about. But I mean, hopefully they can work it out, because I mean, they went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So hopefully it is a little bit of a better fix instead of, what's happening down in Houston, Texas, we'll say. So that'll be fun. But yeah, you said it, Joe, with the Chargers too. You got to stop Patrick Mahomes to win the division. So go get your defensive guys, especially after the season that Herbert had, especially with Eckler injured, a couple wide receivers being injured here and there, to basically say, all right, we got our offense. We can score points. Now we got to stop Mahomes from scoring more points than we can. Yeah. So I think a great hire. And back to this game, the Packers-Rams was a nice little appetizer at the time for the Saturday night football game with the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. And everybody seems to kind of agree that it was a very weird game. It was a very weird and interesting game. Bills beat the Ravens, my Baltimore Ravens, by a score of 17-3. But yeah, Joe, it was just a weird game. I would love to hear your thoughts first before I have a couple of things to say about the Ravens and our season.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was strange. I mean, we expected this to be a high-scoring game. It was extremely low-scoring. And one of the most consistent kickers out there, Justin Tucker, missing two, doinking them both as well. I mean,
that should be extra points. I mean, if anything, we're more accurate.
That's true. That's true. So, I mean, it was it was very strange in that regard. The Bills defense is really fast, and I think that's where they really showed up this game. The Ravens receivers, we've talked about it a lot. They have to get better at that position, bring more talent in. But I mean, they just weren't really able to get open and make plays, kind of throughout the game. But, this was a really close game for the majority of it. I mean, it's 3-10 and, they're in the red zone. And I really felt like that pick six was, just the game changing moment in that play. I mean, if the Ravens get in the end zone, I mean, it's 10-10 game. Instead, now it's 17-3. It was just such such a deflating play to happen to the Ravens. I know you talked about not wanting it to be kind of one thing. I think unfortunately it was really that one play that kind of changed everything. But then also, the concussion to Lamar, following that on the next drive, and, him not having the opportunity. Because, I mean, it's still quarter and a half and you're down by 2 touchdowns. It's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. But we'll never know. We never got to see, how he could have finished it out. So it's tough. The Bills offense didn't really do that much. I really thought that, I'm sure as a Ravens fan, you would think you held the Bills 17 points. You think you should be able to win that game. And, I'm sure, there's a lot of defensive guys on the Ravens that are really disappointed. And, they played a great game and did everything they could to, limit Stephon Diggs, limit, this potent Bills offense. And, they did their job. 17 points, is probably one of the lowest, if not the lowest scored points for the Bills this season. So, it's definitely disheartening that, the offense just wasn't really able to, kind of step up on their end as well. So I'll let you kind of take over from there, Timmy B.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to say, and I think a lot of it will come in our AFC North division, I guess, off-season episode with a lot of things that I would like to see. But yeah, and you said it, Joe, the pick six was obviously the big play, but I'm not taking that as like the one thing. I mean, there was a decent laundry list of things that could have gone right. A big thing like with the pick six, our defense never got that big play. They never got that big turnover or, potential like big third sack to get them out of field goal range or something like that. There wasn't too many big plays from our defense in that standpoint. And offensively, yeah, I mean, we marched right down the field. The first drive, we missed a field goal. They missed a couple of kicks. We missed a couple of kicks. And I believe Big Cat said on part of my take, not only this week, but earlier in the season, he was like, I was curious to see how no fans would affect win. And I think there might have been some sort of a factor. I mean, when there's only a handful of fans or no fans, there's more wind tunnels that happen in the stadium. So I'd be interesting to see a little study because even kickers all around, like Butker had a bad year. I mean, there was no true dominant kicker in the NFL this season, except maybe for Justin Tucker for like the first, in the regular season, but like no dominant kicker that we've seen in recent years. But and a lot of talk right now up here in Baltimore and with the Ravens is Greg Roman, and a lot of people professionally have like kind of picked apart our offense, specifically Steve Smith, Kurt Warner, and Brian Baldinger, being like, there's a guy open right here, there's a guy open over here, and a lot of people up here in Baltimore want Greg Roman fired. I don't think he needs to be fired. I just think we need to turn the notch. I feel like our offense is very basic. And it's been working, but now we got to turn it up a notch and get a little bit more creative. And, as I said on Saturday, 14 teams entered the playoffs. Only one of them was going to be truly happy at the end of this. And unfortunately, it wasn't us. And looking back on the season too, I mean, we lost our left tackle, our all-pro left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. We lost our second tight end, Nick Boyle. We had a lot of injuries. We had that COVID. So, I'm not too worried about the Ravens. I still think we're one of the top 3, top 4 teams in the AFC, right behind Kansas City and Buffalo. So we're still going to be right there. It's going to be exciting to see what we do in our offseason. And we already released RG3. We already released Mark Ingram. So we're already creating some cap space. Hopefully for Allen Robinson, we desperately need a true number 1 wide receiver. And another thing, Joe, from that game is and you've seen it before and you've seen it with the Eagles, whenever, not only the Ravens, but teams in the NFL, when a quarterback is scrambling around to extend the play like a Ben Roethlisberger or Josh Allen or even, any quarterback really, they find a wide open wide receiver. That, like, I feel like when Lamar's kind of scrambling around in the pocket, our receivers just kind of give up and say, all right, he's just going to go run for 15 yards and make it look nice. Like, go get open. Like, I feel like, and this happens to the Ravens a lot defensively. Like when Josh Allen was scrambling around the pocket, he would throw it to a receiver and none of our defenders were even near him. Like our receivers don't seem to do that. So it's going to be very interesting. Like I said, a disappointing loss and, a couple of things if the ball went our way. But yeah, you said it, Joe. It's a little disheartening to see our defense give up 10 offensive points and 17 total with 6 against an offense like this and not pull out the victory. And the opportunities were there, but also, the Bills missed some field goals. They had a couple of, opportunities to really score some points as well. And it was just that weird game. So drop my pen, even though I'm not writing anything. But yeah,
Classic.
disappointing loss. But hey, that's the playoffs. Only one team's going to be truly happy at the end of this. And both my Super Bowl teams have been eliminated. But looking at that, we both picked the Ravens. So we are now 1-1. Our guest went 4 for the Bills and 3 for the Ravens. So they went 4-3. Colts bold prediction of Josh Allen, 2 interceptions, didn't happen. And Fab's bold prediction of the Ravens coming back from 15 plus points with 2 or consecutive 15 or more yard rushing touchdowns from Lamar obviously didn't happen. And speaking of that, with the Lamar concussion, and maybe this is because it's Lamar Jackson, but we never get a roughing the passer. Yes, it was intentional grounding, but it was also roughing the passer. You at least call offsetting penalties on that. I feel like we've seen a couple of times recently, being on national television, where Lamar makes a pass, gets questionably hit, depending on the steps or whatever, and nothing. We get a bogus roughing the passer call for their first field goal where Josh Allen absolutely flopped. And when Lamar went out with a concussion, that was probably roughing the passer as well. Not only did the defender wrap up his legs, and then he got hit after he threw it. So obviously intentional grounding, but the refs weren't going to determine that game, and nor did they. So moving on. Moving on, Joe. We got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns. Chiefs win 22-17. Browns made this a game. Even when Mahomes was in, they were in this game, and their red zone defense was amazing. The Chiefs were in the red zone a lot, don't get me wrong. But they scored on their first 5 drives, and I think it was 1 touchdown and 4 field goals. They held them to field goals. They did exactly what you're supposed to do when you're playing Patrick Mahomes. But then a couple of questionable decisions in the fourth quarter, and Chad Henne comes in, and the balls of Andy Reid to not only throw the ball on 3rd and 14 and even that 4th down play. I mean, they were like, we're not giving them the ball back. Not saying that they don't trust their defense, but they were like, it's Baker, Jarvis, all these weapons. We're not giving them the ball back. So the ball's on Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes is passing his protocols right now, so hopefully he can play for Sunday. But Joe, Roger Goodell was in attendance for the Ravens-Bills game. Lamar goes out with a concussion, late 3rd, early 4th. Roger Goodell at the Kansas City Chiefs game. Patrick Mahomes goes down with a concussion, early 3rd, early 4th. And I think he'll be at the NFC Championship. So maybe Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, So
we'll see.
We'll see. But give us your thoughts from this Chiefs-Browns win, or Chiefs beating the Browns.
Yeah, another kind of weird game, like you said. With the Browns defense just playing lights out. As well as you could hope to against the Kansas City Chiefs. The offense was, just not consistent in the first half, especially running the ball. They started kind of executing better in the second half and making it a closer game. And, when Mahomes went out, first of all, that was such a weird play in and of itself, because he went down he was so concussed, a major concussion, but I did not see a big hit.
They were saying it was a nerve in his neck or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And that kind of made him lightheaded and everything.
Yeah. It just was, not what you would typically think of a concussion or what, can cause a concussion. I don't think there was a flag thrown on that play for sure. Right. He was rushing, if I remember correctly.
He was, yeah.
Just kind of a weird play. And, it's scary. That can happen on any given play. So, it's something that, you got to be conscious of. And, obviously we're seeing one of the biggest names in the NFL suffer, a serious injury that, affects his brain, his long-term health. It's scary to think about. So hopefully he's all right and, can come back next week. But like you said, Chad Henne on that last drive, just lights out. 3rd and 14, takes off and, shows some wheels and nearly gets the first down. Tony Romo was convinced that he had the first down when I think everybody saw that, he was short. And, they had already spotted it short, but then, that play call, like you said, by Andy Reid, big balls, that's who he is. He's aggressive. That's how he coaches. He coaches to win. He doesn't coach not to lose.
Right.
and that's how you got to be great. It's crazy how, he's in Philadelphia, he was kind of known for all these, weird decisions in the fourth quarter, or time management, or using his timeouts or play calls like that. And it seems like he's finally kind of mastered all of it. And, Tony Romo was sure that he was not going to call a play at all. He's like, look at their body language. Like, they're not running a play here. Like,
and all of a sudden, hike.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that's got to be coached up. Like, having that body language where you're looking like, you're checked out, not going to run a play, and then immediately hike it and run the play. And I mean, just a great call. It's hard to beat when you're expecting it, or it's hard to prevent it when you're expecting it. I mean, it's Tyreek Hill one-on-one on an out route to the sideline. I mean, he just needs inches. And, when you're not ready for it, there was no way they were going to stop that. So, I mean, I love the call by Andy Reid. I love the faith in the backup QB. That's, another backup quarterback in the Andy Reid tree. Nick Foles was on the Chiefs at one point too. It's crazy. It's crazy. How he continues to develop. That's a QB factory if I ever seen one. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
So, big game by the Chiefs and Andy Reid, but it was a tough and well fought game by the Browns. I mean, they were right there. They had a chance. I mean, it was a lot of people are kind of ripping Kevin Stefanski for punting. I think it was like 4th and 2 or something like that.
It was 4th and 9 at their own 30.
Okay.
Like, if they didn't get it, you're already putting Butker in field goal range. Now, granted, it would make it an 8-point game, but let's say they scored a touchdown, then you're done. Now, if it was 4th and 5 or less, I'd say go for it. But it was 4th and 9. Like, that's a little too much.
Yeah, and I also think that the fact that Mahomes is not in also plays into it. Your defense just intercepted Chad Henne. They're feeling good. We can get one more stop and get the ball back and have another shot at this. And they had him in 3rd and 14. Like, you account for everyone, you cover everyone perfectly, and Chad Henne takes off. Like, that's the last thing I think anyone would expect. Chad Henne had taken off up the middle. So, just great game all around. Really fun to watch, but tough for the Browns. Come really far. And they've come a long way from just 2 years ago when they were the laughing stock of the NFL.
Absolutely. And Joe, I got a question for you, and we'll talk about this more in the AFC North breakdown. Do they part ways with Odell Beckham? Because they were playing their best ball without him.
What is his contract situation like? Are they able to get out of it? I mean,
I don't know, but do you think they try to trade him maybe? I don't know what his contract is, but do they try to maybe trade him? Because I think in the last month, Baker Mayfield had 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They were winning. They were playing lights out football without him.
I mean, I think there's definitely something to be said there, because I know Odell's always talking give me the ball. I need the ball. If he's not getting it, even if the team's doing well, he's not happy. He just doesn't seem to really be a true team player. So, it's definitely concerning that, he leaves the lineup and everyone's so much better. The offense just looks a lot better. And I think a lot of that has to do with Baker not feeling the pressure of Odell being my first read every time.
Right.
I can look at other ways first and then come back to, Jarvis late or Donovan Peoples-Jones or whoever it is, and just spread the ball around, whoever's open. So, I mean, I hope that Odell learns from that. I hope that, can be a team player. Because, I mean, if Odell and Jarvis are on the team together and Baker's playing that well, this can be such a good Browns team. They could really take the next step. So, I don't think that you trade him, but I do think, or at least this offseason, but I think you definitely give him a short leash going into the start of next year. And if, the offense isn't looking good because Baker's forcing it to him too much, and, Odell's doing his Odell thing, going after a goal post or something, then that's when I think you look to trade him. Because like you said, the offense did just look a lot smoother and, a lot better when he wasn't there.
Yeah. So again, definitely going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. And I can't wait to talk about that in our offseason show. Now moving on to the final game of the day, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the New Orleans Saints. Tampa Bay wins 30-20. We both picked the Buccaneers. We both expected this. This was one that our guest got wrong. Four of them went with the Saints. Three of them went with the Buccaneers. So, yeah. So 3-4 from the guest, and Drew Brees is done. This was his last game in the Superdome. His body, he's just not there anymore. We've been seeing that this whole season. Can't throw deep. Had a couple of interceptions, and not saying Tom Brady had the greatest of games either, but we got to give him the credit. When they gave him the short field, he got the ball in the end zone, which is what you're supposed to do. I think off the turnovers, I think they had a total of like 68 yards of offense, but like 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. So it's like, obviously they're scoring with that. And we got Brady and Rodgers in the NFC Championship game, but Joe, talked to us about the Buccaneers and the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, we said it going in, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row. I mean, this is a game that the Buccaneers, I'm sure, wanted to, have a statement and really show up. And that defense just capitalized, and they made things real hard for Brees. I mean, what Brees can do well is he can do the short and intermediate passing game and carve up zones really well. So what do? You play press man, and you don't give those receivers any room off the line of scrimmage and force them to beat you deep. And he wasn't able to. Michael Thomas, 0 catches. Slant boy, I love it.
0.
I've talked about this. I think that you've talked about this as well. I really don't think that Michael Thomas is that elite of a wide receiver. I think he puts up a lot of great stats because, the nature of Drew Brees' offense and the nature of his game in terms of slant, short passing game, out, short passing game. He's never going deep. It's not, a ton of run after the catch. It's like he's a good receiver, but he's not elite. And, we saw that on Sunday night. I mean, 0 catches in Drew Brees' last game as a Saint. And I mean, they were trying, I know he didn't have a ton of targets, but the ones he did have, he didn't come down with. And, he wasn't really open, for the majority of that game. I mean, he was blanketed. You got to at least be able to get open and help your struggling QB out. You're supposed to be the best receiver on the team, and he didn't do anything. So that really, just, it says a lot about the Saints organization. I mean, now moving forward without Drew Brees, either Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill throwing to Michael Thomas. And, now we just saw an example of how you beat Michael Thomas and how you beat that Saints offense. I love the Jameis touchdown though. Let me just say, like, using the Bears trick play that they should have scored a touchdown on against them. And having Jameis come in and do that. Awesome. I mean, against this former team, the Buccaneers, just a bomb. I love it. But I mean, those are the kind of plays or the play calls that they need to have in order to stretch the field. And obviously when you bring Jameis in, then, you know what's coming, so you can prepare for that. So, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that the Saints could really do. The Bucs just did such a great job in this game. But I mean, you just think about, if those turnovers didn't happen, then the Saints probably win this game. Because like you said, I think it was like 16 points off the turnovers to no turnovers from the Buccaneers. So, I mean, just well played all parts for the Bucs. I mean, you definitely want to see the offense be a little bit more consistent and not have to rely on those short fields in order to score touchdowns. But, at the end of the day, they did what they needed to. And the Saints defense is pretty good. So I think that they'll be able to have a better game against Green Bay next week. And that's going to be a really fun game, a really exciting game. Since, the Buccaneers, I think, stomped them the first time they played. In the regular season.
It's interesting too, because the Packers went up like 10-0, like nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
And then two back-to-back pick sixes or pick six, and then an interception like the 2 or the 3 really set the Buccaneers up to win that game. But you said it with Michael Thomas. Fab said that he would be the reason why they lost, but he said getting ejected, but 0 catches is more or less that. And kind of
might as well gotten ejected.
Right. And he apparently today, like, I don't know if you've seen this, he needs like a bunch of major surgeries too. I think he needs both of his like deltoids and even his ankle. And people were saying that he was like, I know this was Drew Brees' last year, so I was going to go out and win a Super Bowl. That's why I'm holding off on these surgeries. But it's kind of like, all right, dude, well, we signed you for 5 years, 90 million. How about you're good for the next 4 or 5 years instead of just this one? But I can see that logic of trying to win a Super Bowl one more time. But you said everything, and I'm kind of glad the Saints didn't win, Joe, because Drew Brees outside in Lambeau Field would have been ugly. Would have been ugly to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it would not have been fun to watch. At least Brady can put up somewhat of numbers. So that'll definitely be an interesting game. But I mean, and like you said with Jameis Winston, as long as Sean Payton's there, I think they will get creative. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Saints made some sort of trade, maybe for Deshaun Watson or maybe to move up in the draft. I mean, a couple of years ago, they moved up from like 27 to 13 to take Marcus Davenport. And a lot of people were kind of like, all right. I mean, he's a first round guy, but like, that's a lot for a guy like him. So definitely wouldn't be surprised if the Saints made some sort of blockbuster trade to either get a quarterback or move up in the draft and get a guy Peyton really likes. But as long as Sean Payton's there, I think that the offense will be fine, especially with Kamara still there. A healthy Michael Thomas, we'll see. So as long as they can get a deep passing game, this is still going to be a dangerous offense. But a fantastic career by Drew Brees, and the Saints got the city of New Orleans a Super Bowl. Very successful in the playoffs, and have made the Saints one of the more dominant teams in the last 10 to 15 years. So definitely appreciate that, Joe. But that's really all I got for this week or for the divisional round. Any final thoughts on your end?
I mean, I'm like you said, I'm glad that we have that one matchup with Brady and Rodgers, but then also we got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. We've pretty much got probably the 4 best quarterbacks from this season in the championship games facing off. So that's music to my ears as a football fan. It may not be my team, but I got Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, hopefully, versus Josh Allen, who just a few years ago, like you think about that matchup and you'd laugh at it, but now we're excited. Now that's an exciting matchup. So, we've got the 4 best quarterbacks going at it. Hopefully we can have a little bit more offensive games this time. A little bit more points scored kind of in both games, since I know it was just so weird in all of these games, like just not the as exciting high scoring games as you kind of love to see. Like those that Rams and Chiefs game from a few years back. Yeah, like give me that with the Chiefs and the Bills or the Bucks and the Packers. And I mean, I think we could. So I'm excited. That's pretty much all I got. I'm glad that these are the matchups that we got and that 4 best QBs in the NFL are facing off to determine who's going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't disagree with you on that. We got the 4 best quarterbacks this season, without a doubt. I mean, Rodgers and Mahomes are playing on unreal levels. Josh Allen is probably number 3 right behind them, and Tom Brady put up some insane stats, even though the team wasn't as successful, but they're in the NFC Championship game. And looking forward to talking with you later this week. Make sure, guest, we'll be texting you again to get your picks. It's only 2 games, easy to pick. But that's going to wrap it up for me. We will talk later, Joe. For you guys, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that jazz, and we will see you later this week for our conference championship picks. Can't believe we're here, guys. But have a great day, everybody, and we will see you